Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join our session today. Right now, we're going to talk about how AI knows the board better than you. And in this session, we're going to talk about how in the cloud cost management game, efficiency is prime real estate, and AI is how you're going to build it. This session, we're going to dive into how AI helps FinOps teams make smarter, faster decisions around resource management, utilization, and cost efficiency. Whether it's identifying idle workloads or dynamically right-sizing your infrastructure, AI is going to help you land on the spaces that pay. My name is Mike Mushanta. I'm a principal FinOps solutions architect over here at Harness, and I got a wonderful panel for you today. Prashant, why don't you get us kicked off and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Prashant. I work at Cisco Foods. Cisco Foods is one of the largest Fortune 50 organization. We supply food globally, and we have presence across all the countries. So if you talk about my experience, I have overall 20 years of experience. I worked with Fortune 50 companies across my career, and I bring a lot of expertise in cloud transformation, modernization, cloud economics. And last year we have started FinOps as a practice. I always say global FinOps adoption at Cisco.
Perfect. Eric.
Mike, thanks for having me. My name is Eric Lam, and I head of our Google Cloud FinOps consulting practice. I lead the FinOps practice who work with customers from advisory through designing and implementing FinOps solution end to end. And matter of fact, we not only do it for Google Cloud, but we do support multi-cloud. Our framework, methodologies, and solutions are all cloud agnostic, recognizing most of our customers are one or multi-cloud. So um, great to be here, and I'm looking forward to the discussions.
Awesome. Melissa, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lata Srinivasan. I'm a software engineering director at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. I manage a set of teams that develop products to manage your service from the cloud. One part of my team actually works on figuring out efficiencies in cloud cost management, actually, how to right-size clusters. So I'm super excited to be here and to chat with Eric and Prashant today on the very interesting topic. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And let's just jump right into things. Uh, if AI is your secret weapon in the FinOps game, what kind of moves does it unlock that you couldn't play before?
I would say a lot more real-time monitoring and being able to use agents to just take actions on your behalf.
If it's a chess game, it will be to do predictive moves right ahead of time, 2, 3 step ahead.
I think I would use AI for leadership enablement. Whenever they ask for the data, they should have the top data, and that can actually enable their mind to take the decisions.
Yeah, of course. And I know we have a bunch of questions and not too much time, so let's dive into things. So my first question for you all, how has AI changed the approach to cloud cost management compared to the traditional methods that you've been doing, in the last 12 years of this public cloud journey that everybody's been going on? Prashant, do you have any ideas there?
Yes, I always feel with AI coming in, I think organizations are changing from a reactive instance to the proactive and the intelligent model. So now, organizations started looking cost as a performance. And this has happened because of the AI. And I'm actually working with the teams on ground. And this is where, I have seen the struggle. They manage cost, and when the overrun happens, they always have a reactive approach. So with this AI coming in, I see there will be a lot of proactive, the intelligent model we will be able to implement. And you know what it can improve, basically it can improve the substantial cost savings through efficient resource utilization. We can primarily focus on the elimination of waste. Our forecasting accuracy can be improved. I was reading few articles wherein a lot of organizations, they have improved almost 25% improvement by implementing the AI models. And what I can assume, I think it will enhance the visibility and the control also over the cloud expenditures. And this was the main problem also here at Cisco, wherein most of the teams, they overran their budget. Other than this, the other benefits I see, the greater agility and scalability also, because these AI models will propose all those solutions and the design modifications. just to summarize, the predictive analytics, the real-time monitoring, and the autonomous optimization is going to be, you know, implemented with the AI solutions as we see changing the approach.
Yeah, so that makes sense. More accuracy, saving time from not doing things manually as much, and leveraging it to drive a little bit of efficiency in forecasting, among other use cases. That makes a ton of sense. Anyone else want to jump in here and share some of their thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I think this year you can say that this is a year of the agents, right? And there's a lot of focus on how you can use agents to drive some of your optimization. So I think that's going to be a big win here. Previously, like Prashant alluded to, you're going more from a reactive, after the fact kind of analysis to more proactive and being able to predict your usage, even act on things. But when you touch upon agents, agents can actually make intelligent decisions on your behalf, right? They can learn as they go along, and they can look at your workload patterns and understand, is it CPU bound, is it memory bound, is there a time element to it? How do you adjust your capacity based on that? That's huge. And then you can also feed in, what if scenarios, right? You can say, hey, plan for, Cyber Monday, or plan for, Thanksgiving, and whatever. So things like that, I think it gives you a lot of potential. And then I'm going to touch upon this, but there's a lot of data set that you can also reach into, right? Now you're not just restricted to your own data set to make that prediction. You have a bigger data set at your fingertips that you can potentially tap into. So I think the potential is huge. I think we're literally at the very beginning of this inflection point. There's a huge potential ahead of us to do that.
Perfect, perfect. That makes a ton of sense. So, kind of taking the LLM models and extending them even further into agent-based workflows
Yep.
to drive efficiencies in your business there and helping your customers out. That seems like it's going to be a pretty powerful use case, especially with the scale of HPE. Now, to keep it moving a little bit, what are some of the key AI-driven capabilities that FinOps teams should be leveraging today that they might not be?
I think, Mike, I can take this one. I mean, this is really built on what Prashant and Lata mentioned earlier. But, if you're not using AI to help scale your FinOps team today, you need to do it now. Right? That's really key, right? I think we are, as this, era of agentic AI, as Lata mentioned, there are many, vendors, including Harness, Google Cloud out there that are embedding AI right into their capabilities, and this is really essential to help right the broader enterprise and FinOps team to be more efficient, and more importantly, how drive business outcome. Right, and we talk about the efficiencies, the cost gains, but ultimately how are the FinOps team in using AI technology to drive better business outcome, and the value being realized from that, to me, is the most important sort of understatement. So there are a few key things that I see many FinOps team are leveraging today, and this resonate real well. When I was at the FinOps X conference earlier this month, the whole entire theme was AI for FinOps, FinOps for AI. But let's also go back to the few key capabilities, and Prashant actually mentioned it. One is anomaly detection, right? This is a game changer, right? Every customer, every single FinOps practitioner I spoke with, like, anomaly detection saved me so much money. It's allowed us to, monitor my cloud consumption patterns and automatically flag any unusual spikes, right, or unexpected costs. In traditional sense, where you have team manually setting those thresholds, now you're using machine learning, the time series based model of auto ML or ML plus model, you can then detect your spend in your consumption. And matter of fact, this expand beyond just the Google Cloud billing data or any cloud billing data, right? Because you can then apply the same architecture across your entire business as well. So you can then detect anonymous spend near real time, right? Regarding whether you are in retail, financial services industry, or a tech-based company, right? To able to drive better business informed decision. What does that do? Then it help you better planning, better financial planning, budgeting, and forecasting, right? The same construct and architecture that you use, to build to detect anomalies through a time series base, you can do and leverage that for forecasting as well, right? Historical usage, incorporating that with seasonal trends, market factors, your business priority, and then that provide you better financial forecast accuracy. The third piece where I'm seeing a lot of FinOps team are leveraging AI and quickly embedding that is about optimization, right? How do you right size it, and also using AI to detect the patterns of your workloads to do auto scale, right? So with the intelligence being built in, you can automate your right sizing your VM instances, your database, and your storage based on the actual utilization. So the teams, a lot of time what we're seeing is there's a lot of inefficiencies in the compute instances or the storage allocations and whatnot because they are over provisioning, right? And the reason why they are over provisioning is primarily because of the mindset where like data center times where you have to pre-allocate this fixed number of CPUs and memories to ensure that you are meeting the performance requirements. Now with the intelligence that being built in, you can then ensure that you are meeting your performance requirements, your SLAs and so forth, but also be more efficient. So these are some of the things that I'm seeing, right? And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more as we explore this whole agentic AI for FinOps era.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, and that really resonates with me from my time at VMware. I would be brought on calls with customers that were migrating their data centers, and why is my bill exploding? I was told this would be cheaper, and it's because you're using a data center architecture, and that's not how it should be done. So that makes a ton of sense using AI to map out those patterns and do things more appropriate for a cloud first workload. But enough of that. Like, anyone else have thoughts on that topic? I know Eric went into pretty good depth, but would love your opinions.
I think Eric touched upon the technical aspects and what I see the strategic enablement. Basically, the agentic workflows. Cisco is doing a proof of concept on agentic AI. So I'm very curious how I can associate my FinOps use cases with that agentic AI platform, and the proof of concept is in progress. And what I think, since we are doing this proof of concept, platforms like Azure AI Foundry or SageMaker, they can enable multi-agent collaboration to automate complex FinOps tasks, from generating cost reports to execute optimization scripts. So there can be a lot of things can be done. And we started talking about unit cost economics. I know focus adoption is one of the area, one of the approach wherein we can tap into the unit cost economics. But through this lever, AI definitely can correlate the cloud spending with business metrics. For example, the cost per transaction, cost per customer, revenue impact, and this is how the data-driven investment decisions can be enabled. So I think strategic enablement is also a key, and there can be various implementation tools also. I talked about the agentic AI, but something can be done through AI copilots, embedded assistants, and unified observability. Is another solution. We can use Azure AI Foundry Observability Integrate Cost. This is one of the platform, you know, to drive for those quality metrics, and we can make holistic decision making. So overall, I think these capabilities can shift FinOps from reactive cost tracking to proactive financial governance. And if teams at organizations like us, they can start adopting AI-driven tools, they can report almost 30 to 50% reductions in the wasted cloud spend, while they will be maintaining the performance. So I'm very excited overall for this agentic AI. The proof of concept is happening at Cisco, and I would like to test what I can do with FinOps and AI and using this agentic AI.
That makes perfect sense, and it honestly leads perfectly to our next question. And Eric, I know you have some thoughts here. With the rapid evolution of AI, how are you ensuring that either your teams or your customers' teams are staying current on best practices with those emerging technologies for cloud cost optimization opportunities?
Yeah, and I think this is really, a I personally believe in continuous lifelong learning, right? And especially, with AI and the agentic AI era, the landscape that we all work in right now is evolving at lightning speed, right? Large language models come up on a weekly basis, new capability, new AI services, new cloud, AI cost management vendors. I'm seeing it like weekly right now, right? And so there's a lot to learn, and like, where do you start? And how can you get started? I just a personal story. Earlier this year, I made a personal commitment to myself to deep dive into AI, especially working at Google Cloud, being the head of Cloud FinOps, and expanding my knowledge and expertise just beyond, FinOps, right? My background has all around like cloud economics, financial engineering, business case analysis and so forth. So really expanding beyond FinOps into and deep dive into AI is very, very important. In one of the recent NVIDIA conference, right, Jensen Huang, right, he came out, and one of it's still very memorable for me. What he said was that, to an extent of, AI is not going to be replacing humans, but the people who use AI will replace you. So I think it's very, very important to understand, right, where we operate today and how AI is evolving, and get on board. So as such, I jump on board, and I started my most challenging certification exam in my personal career, which is the Google Cloud Professional Machine Learning. I didn't start with the easy one. I started with the most challenging one, and I learned a lot along the way of getting that certification, and I finally got it. It took me a while because with individuals like me that don't do machine learning engineering on a day-to-day basis, it does take a lot to get up to speed. But I learned a lot along the way, and thankfully there are, Google Cloud does provide certification programs to enable our customers as well to learn about certifications around AI and so forth. So continuous learning, I think that is non-negotiable, right? So definitely encourage your FinOps team to dedicate time to learn about the new AI capability. Your cloud service provider, right, whether it's Google and any other cloud, have a lot of content, whether it's online or through certifications or workshops. Even subscribe to industry newsletter and research. I think those are very key. The second one is community, right? There's an entire, whether it's with the FinOps Foundation community or, I'm actually part of the AI working group. And so, and the working group is a very good way to, where all the FinOps practitioners coming together to discuss, right, the challenges and the leading practices that they also see in their respective organization and how they're leveraging AI for FinOps or FinOps for AI. So that's also a good venue to get involved in. And then the third, I would highly encourage, especially for the FinOps team, just dedicate, a small portion of your team's time to experiment with new AI tools. One of the conversations I have with my customer recently was, should we encourage our FinOps practitioner to learn prompt engineering? And I think it's important right now, but also prompt engineering will eventually be much of a less critical sort of training, because as the large language model get more and more intelligent and sophisticated, right? The whole intent is that you can use natural language to ask questions where the large language model can better understand your context, right? Typically, when you provide a good prompt, understand the persona, the context, the task you want the LM to perform, in a few short examples, it will generally produce a pretty good output. But you have to really provide a prescriptive set of prompts in order to generate that output that you ask, that you desire. And that requires some training around prompt engineering and so forth, right? But then eventually there is going to be a more intelligent model, or we'll talk about AGI and whatnot, that going to be changing. So the continuous learning, experimenting, and proof of concept for FinOps team, I think it is very important as well.
Yeah, and that makes a ton of sense, right? So investing in yourself, but also taking advantage of the programs that your employer might have to offer or your cloud partner might have to offer to help bring you up to speed on these new technologies. And that makes perfect sense in the FinOps story, right? It's supposed to be cross-functional. So you took it upon yourself to go out and learn something more engineering focused, and that's not your role, but it's gonna, from what I've seen, definitely help when you have those FinOps conversations because you
Right.
know have that perspective and bringing those two personas together with yourself to help your customers actually achieve those outcomes that we've been talking about. Now, uh, how does AI help in identifying idle or unused workloads more effectively than a manual process? We touched on this quickly in the first question, but Lata, I'd love for you to elaborate on it a little bit.
Yeah, actually, there's multiple prongs to it, right? There's a lot of real-time monitoring that you can do to actually identify what's going on with your workloads at any given time, right? And that can actually quickly help you identify maybe you over-provision, like Eric was talking about it, and you generally tend to over-provision because you're worried. It's like your insurance, right? Like just in case I have a spike, what do I do, right? I don't want to have a situation where my customers are going to experience some big latency. So I think being able to be a little bit smarter about, real-time monitoring and also have the confidence to say, I can have an agent that can quickly react to any sudden spikes, unexpected spikes, right? You're always going to be surprised by something that happens, right? That's just you just have to be, prepared for it. So as long as you have that ability to do that, then I think that's a huge deal there where you can actually, identify idle workloads. Maybe it can even identify and tell you, hey, I'm looking at this workload. It's actually more batch oriented, and maybe it's an eventually consistent thing. It's okay for you to know in the classic Unix sense, right? Nice it so that it can actually run in the background. And so what if the batch job takes 2 hours versus an hour and 30 minutes? Totally fine because the results don't have to be right there. So it can give you all kinds of insights into that. It can also tell you, hey, maybe you're using too many, reserved instances. You can, your next time your contract comes up, you can probably back off of it, or you can right size it to what your real workload utilization is. You only need so much headroom if you plan for certain spikes. So I think there's a huge potential there that eventually results in better utilization purely from a financial perspective, but also I think from a sustainability perspective, right? I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, all of these servers that are running are definitely, they are contributing to all the climate issues that we see around us. And I think making sure that, you're a little bit more efficient about how you utilize resources, including water and everything, is going to be huge. That's huge. So I think that's where I think AI can help you get a little bit more confident in your predictions and also help you, handle any real-time changes that you need to address.
That makes perfect sense, right? Sustainability is a huge problem in this space with how many servers are just out there in all these different availability zones. So making sure that you're somewhat conscious of that and doing a small part to help the planet, if you will. So I want to transition a little bit. Uh, Prashant, how are you and the Cisco teams balancing the synergy between your human expertise and the AI automation that can help drive resource optimization decisions?
Absolutely, and I'll talk about this with a practical example. We are using a tool, Turbonomics, and we were brainstorming for last few months how we can bring in the AI flavor into this Turbonomics, how we can bring in the automation. And I always feel when we are comparing or weighing the AI versus the human decision, it always requires a deliberate integration of each side's strengths to achieve optimal results. So when we made decisions, with the human touch involved in it, checking those recommendations, we did a good job. When we tried automating few of the aspects through the tool, there was an actual impact on the applications. So I always feel, there should always be a effective balance when it comes to the data-driven automation and efficiency. We should definitely rely on human expertise for context, strategy, and judgment. So we are not fully into the automation mode in the Turbonomics. because Turbonomics, basically the usage inefficiency is one of the KPI we deal on day-to-day basis with our customers. And what I feel human brings essential skills, such as strategic thinking, creativity, adaptability, and emotional intelligence also, which AI cannot replicate. And this is such an interesting question because I'm working with my son also. He's a rising sophomore, and he's writing a research paper on ethics of AI. So ethical AI is really important. The responsible AI is really important, and to weigh in the human aspect, the human expertise will always be a question. And this is not something achievable overnight. This is an ongoing process. The other challenge I see here at Cisco, the collaborative decision making. As a FinOps team, we struggle on day-to-day basis to get the buy-ins, to get the approvals from the engineers. I strongly feel we can use AI in a more positive way to handle the routine optimization, the monitoring stuff, which can be, better leveraged on a day-to-day basis. So human AI collaboration can enables the team to dedicate more time to the high value task. And I was reading an article, the one company, they have achieved 67% increase in the time spent on innovation, and versus 156% increase in organization innovation velocity. So I was very inspired, when I read that. The other aspect, I can think about maintaining the oversight and the continuous improvement. When we collaborate with the different personas, we can see all those opportunities as well. So overall, if I see, I think AI might recommend scaling down certain cloud resources overnight based on predictive analytics, but human experts can review these recommendations. We as a FinOps team can consider upcoming business events or product launches. There should be some governance around it that AI may not fully understand, and that's how we can make a final call on the implementation.
That makes a ton of sense, and honestly answers my next question, which was about the risks associated with relying on AI, right? If you only rely on the AI, there might be downstream impacts to your applications. So I think we can skip that one and start talking about governance, right? Governance is key. How are you all ensuring that trust, transparency, and stakeholder alignment are accounted for as AI continues to play a bigger role in that optimization journey? And Latha, I'd like to get your thoughts on this first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we talked about multiple things, right? So governance, the other side of the coin is trust, right? They're two sides of the same coin. That's the way I look at it. We talk about stakeholder alignment. The first thing is nothing to do with AI itself, right? In general, whatever you do needs to be aligned to your business outcomes. That by its very nature will drive trust in a sense. And then let's talk about what AI brings to the picture, right? The fundamental things are, yes, definitely ethical AI that Prashant talked about, but making sure there's privacy and security and there's no bias in how things are approached, right? How it's the decision that it's making. And that's where, you need to be able to have guardrails to make sure that you can catch both the negative or the hallucination side of the AI picture, right? You want to make sure you do that. And also having the mechanisms to have human in the loop to kind of provide that oversight. Ultimately, it comes down to predictability, right? You build trust by being predictable and reliable. So, and predictability is along two dimensions. One dimension is, are you able to provide consistent outcomes? So with AI, you know that it's predictable. It's not predictable in general, right? It's much more probabilistic. However, the outcomes can be measured, not just the output, because the output may vary because AI can generate different. If you ask the same question twice, you are guaranteed to potentially get two different answers. But semantically, are they equivalent? That's what you're really looking for. That's where you're more outcome based. And then the second piece is really being able to insert yourself into thinking about, is it able to tell me the failure modes that I can get into? Let's say I make a decision based on, this FinOps AI agent, let's say, that's telling me spin your service down overnight. But then something's not right about it. Are you able to go back and explain it and have it explain why it came to that conclusion? And is it able to even think through the failure modes where that might actually not work out very well? So I think being and transparency comes down to, Prashant talked about convincing the engineering community. Trust me, I'm in the engineering community. Yes, yes, definitely. You tell me you spend less, I'm going to be like, okay, what? So I think that's where the show back, right? This transparency comes together. If I can have my developer, every developer being able to have a dashboard that tells them, you pick this versus this is the cost, this is the unit cost that you're incurring, that's huge. Then everybody's going to make the right choices. The problem sometimes comes when they don't have that transparency about, I'm making choice A versus choice B, and I don't know which one's more expensive or less expensive now or later. I think that's huge. I think even having the right dashboards to show that will be huge. I think there's many prongs to it, but I think rooted in ethics, rooted in bias training, making sure your data that you're feeding in is of high quality, and making sure that you have the guardrails to catch anything that might go slightly off kilter. I think those are all huge.
That makes a ton of sense. Using it, but doing so in a way that makes sure that you're not just relying on it entirely.
Exactly.
Eric or Prashant, do you have any quick thoughts you want to add on top of that?
Yeah.
I think trust. Go ahead, Prashant.
No, go ahead, Eric.
No, I just echoing on Lata's comment on trust, and I really love it, right? Like it just made me think about a quote, right? It was one time, not sure who it came from, right? Trust takes years to build, and seconds to break. And I think in this sort of conversation, right? Trust on AI, it needs to be earned, right? And I love what Lata said, right? It's about having an open communication and having the right guardrails and able to explain, right, where's the output and result coming from, right? The explainability of AI is so important. And then finally is connecting all that dots. How do you demonstrate the value to the business? That's really the bottom line, right? That's all I want to say.
That makes sense. And yeah, in my experience, increased transparency breeds better accountability. Better accountability breeds trust. When everybody trusts each other, you get better business outcomes. And that's really what we're all here working towards. So, to that point, how are you measuring the ROI of these AI-driven cost management initiatives? And what metrics matter to you most? And I want to start with Prashant here.
As of now, we are actually, building the governance, and we are leveraging, few of the simple automations. So I'm collaborating with my automation team who are actually, making the bots. And my goal is to track governance effectively with clear metrics, the transparency scores, the compliance rates, and the stakeholder satisfaction. We have an internal tool built at Cisco through which we can do the gamification with all those teams. And what I'm trying to set up the regular assessments, also conducting the periodic reviews with those teams, the maturity assessments. Right now we are under FinOps assessment phase. So we always try to bring the best practices and adapting the governance as a key business enabler, I would say. And I always think every day, how I can simplify the data driven decision making to these teams. And I always emphasize on automating such things using Excel macros, or just do it. Don't talk about the big AI agents now if we have not tested it, like Nova or SageMaker or Bedrock, because that's a long way ahead. So simple task, automating your simple day-to-day data driven decision making task into an actionable insight is a key. And that's how we can measure, review, and evolve effectively.
Makes sense. And Eric, I know you were just messaging me on the side. What are your thoughts on this?
So it's interesting because being at Google, and certainly that is one of the top questions many of our customers ask. And I recently came across a research by Menlo Ventures, a venture capitalist firm. The key question was, guess what is the number one criteria when selecting new AI use cases? It's not cost. So according to the research, the number one criteria for selecting an AI use case is easily quantifiable ROI. And cost is actually number 6, right? Like you would expect that cost was the number 1, but no. And this is done by, a research, a VC firm, hundreds of, enterprise CIOs and CXO leadership. And ROI is the number 1. And a matter of fact, back in April, at our Google Cloud Next, I did a presentation to over 400 plus executive leaders in the room around AI value measurement. And I asked the same question about how many of you currently have AI running in production. There was a quarter, right, of the hand raised. And how many actually understand how to measure the value AI use case? Only a handful of hands left. So I think this is such an important topic, and I think this is why the FinOps team is so important, and the crux of this, and why Prashant's like, hey, like how do I embed, right, my FinOps hat into the agentic AI that Cisco is doing? I think we are at the crux of this, right? And I think it's important to understand that the AI strategy is not just about picking the coolest technology. It's a two-pronged approach, right? Aligned to your top-down, right, business strategy, which dictate your organization priorities. And then it should be informed by what your AI themes and then use cases, right? So then you also do a bottom-up, right? How are these use cases connected into your overall sort of business imperative? And ensuring that there is this overarching process, and the AI governance that Prashant also alluded to is the key to that. So creating a AI governance structure and process so that you can have a better approach as line of businesses are getting excited about all these AI use cases. How do you prioritize them? How do you quantify the value? How do you understand the cost so that you can create this robust prioritization process to get and maximize your value, right? So which leads to, when we talk about value, I think there are 3 critical questions that needs to be answered. What does success look like in financial terms, right? When we talk about financial value, how much does it cost to reach the success? And ultimately, what's the ROI, the return on investment?
You won't believe my CIO asked the same question when we were presenting the savings to him last year, because you talked about the direct financial impact. So we were talking about the reserved instances and the savings plan. He wanted us to differentiate between the hard savings, the direct financial impact, and the soft savings. Soft savings can be efficiency gains, how we are redeploying our resources. And I was very impressed what Lata also mentioned, using those dashboards to present the tailored results to the technical teams and executives is a key. Believe us, this is our day-to-day struggle, how to present that.
Yes, and you mentioned a keyword, tailored, and Mike was asking about what is one key metric. There is none. Like, it has to be very specific to your organization, right? Value and priorities. So everything use cases has to be custom, because has to be defined to what you are driving. But having said all that, I think what we have found, and as we work with a lot of customers, and Prashant mentioned a few of them, right? The 4 key buckets: operational efficiencies, right? That can be employee efficiency, developer productivity efficiencies, or cost reductions as a result. 2, how does it drive and improve your top line growth, right? Your revenue growth. I think that's always key. And matter of fact, when you talk to a CEO, that's the number 1 priority, period. It's not about employee productivity when thinking about AI use cases. They're all about revenue growth. 3rd is customer employee experience. And then 4th is the strategic enablement, or how are you differentiating, introducing AI capability into the marketplace, right? So those are the 4 key, and yes, some of them are soft savings and some of them are hard, right? And you have to really differentiate and then quantify those, both hard and soft savings.
Perfect. And in 2 to 3 years, What's a FinOps task that you think only AI will be doing? Something that humans are going to be completely hands off, maybe that they're spending hundreds of hours a month on today, collectively.
I would say read balance sheets to figure out where your cost is. I sure hope those are very tough to get through. So I sure hope AI is doing that in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I think, like to have Cisco, because we work on the multiple Excel sheets, the finance enablement totally on AI, and get rid of the Excel sheets to complete the books every month, forecasting. So forecasting and finance enablement, I would like to see Cisco as an adoption.
Yeah, you better be careful with that. Finance teams love their macros. Eric?
And Excel spreadsheets. But yeah, so I think probably not in 2 3 years, but even immediately, I'm seeing where AI is enabling non-technical folks, right, to use natural language to ask questions about my FinOps billing data, right? And you can do it today. And I think the adoption of that and through AI is certainly going to help scale, right, the FinOps culture and whatnot across the organization. So I think that's very key.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, like every big innovation leap in human history, it's technology and people, right?
Hmm.
Can't have one without the other. And I want to end with a lightning round. So, we're going to go quick on this, and I'm going to call you out. But looking ahead, what's one AI trend or innovation that you are most excited about in the context of FinOps and cloud efficiency? Go ahead, Lata.
I want to say sustainability, and that's going to be driving more towards edge-oriented, small model AI use cases. I think the large data centers spewing greenhouse gases is going to be something that people are going to consider even more. So sustainability is going to become huge.
Eric.
Agentic AI into the end-to-end FinOps value stream. Areas from initial cloud cost tagging through cost allocation, cost estimations, optimization, forecasting, end to end. I think that's the future and it's coming soon.
Prashant.
Lata actually picked up my point as well. Sustainability, yes, and unit economics is one of the area. I started looking at it, and this was included in my roadmap also. And we cannot do the unit economics without a collaboration with the other engineering teams, and focus adoption is a key. So I'm really looking forward to implement focus and enabling all my business and engineering teams to understand focus. So unit economics and sustainability.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you all for your thoughts on this. It's a topic that everybody's talking about. It's in the news every single day. So I just wanted to thank you for your time. And with that, enjoy the rest of the conference. We have some exciting stuff coming up for you. Thank you all.